Hi everybody, I'm Win, cycling instructor, and welcome to another episode of Practical Cycle Camping. I'm working on this Specialized Rockhopper that's really a piece of junk, but let's see what we need to do to resurrect it. And so we'll start off by giving it a good wash and then move it on to the rack.
Okay, here's a brass brush.
I'm taking off the rust on the stem around the headset in this case, and just go lightly, go quick, and it should come right off. Okay, let's switch to the seat post. I'll yank it out, wipe it down. There's some rust staining on the aluminum, so that's what I'm trying to pull off right now. And then I'll load some grease onto the seat tube and then put some grease on the stem and then push it down, up and down, without twisting it. And then once it's up, then I'll rotate it a quarter turn and then pump it up and down also. What I'm trying to do is dislodge the rust, and then I'll wipe it off. And that, without an internal brush, it seems to work pretty well that way. And do this as many times as you need it. I think 2 or 3 times is probably sufficient.
Let's take a look at the headset. This one comes out pretty easily. Okay. It's already loose. All right.
When I work on headsets, I like to put the bike on a table with a towel underneath the headset, and then I can safely remove the headset nuts and washers. When I do that, I'm going to be holding the fork and pushing it upwards to prevent the ball bearings, if they're loose, because I don't know if they're in a loose state or if they're caged, from falling out on the ground. And that's one of the main reasons why I have paper towel or a towel underneath it. Okay, now comes the part where having rags and paper towels come in handy, because you're going to use that to clean off the bearings, the cups, and the races on the headset. And so just, take your time, wipe it up. If the bearings are crusty, then, you're probably going to need some solvent to loosen it up, or use a soft wood tool to scrape away at the material and get it all cleaned up. And then you're good to look.
Okay, these bearings and races are in good shape. It looks like this bike doesn't have very many miles on it, just looking at the brake pads and the wear on the bearings and the cones. So, but the bearings are dry. They've probably never been serviced. So just repack the bearings with some grease. Okay. Put some grease on the threads. Slide this back in. Okay. fingers, and let's screw this back together again.
Okay, once you've screwed in the top race, then take a few moments and wipe up all the grease that's been slathered around, because it's certainly going to get all over the place.
The keyed washer back in again.
Sometimes putting on the keyed washer and then the top stack, the keyed washer might be a little tight, so you have to finesse it in and then screw in the top cap just finger tight for now.
Okay. And let's lock down the lock nut.
So it takes 2 wrenches to tighten up the headset in most cases, and you want to make sure that there isn't any slack, but that it's also not so tight that the fork doesn't roll smoothly. There needs to be some compression of the ball bearings, but not so much that you can feel it drag, that is.
Here's the extra grease. And let's put this on the stand. Put some grease on inside the head too. There's grease down at the bottom of the handlebars.
So when you're reinstalling the handlebar into the stem, make sure that none of the cables are stuck behind the stem, because then you're going to have to pull the stem back out and rearrange it. So take the time to make sure the cables are in alignment. You want the left cables to be in front of the right cables. That is, the front cables are in front of the rear cables, and there's no entanglement.
Okay. We can. And so now the headset and the handlebar stem have both been lubed. Well, I was intending to demonstrate how to remove the sticker using a blow dryer, and of course I forgot to turn on the camera. But here it is. It came off nice and clean. There is some adhesive on it, so I'll need to use some fingernail polish remover to remove the goo. But the surface underneath is still in good shape. Okay, let's screw the wheel. We'll open up the jaws.
Now, learning to true wheels is probably one of the most important and valuable skills you can have in repairing bikes. And so, when you don't have to have the type of truing stands that I have, you can learn to true a wheel on the bike and do a pretty good job at it.
I usually start with the front wheel, so the left side and the right side, skewer here. You can view the logo. It's true, this wheel, the front wheel, is in pretty good shape. just need to make a few minor adjustments to this. Okay, that's good. Let's go to the rear wheel. Okay, I'm gonna have to work on the hub first because the hub doesn't spin. Okay. Let's remove the skewer. Put that all back together again. Chain whip. Okay. I didn't bring a flat screwdriver out, so I'll just use a small hex key to pull off the rubber seal. Okay. And
In this case, the rear cone of the hub is worn out. So take the cone and the axle to the bike shop and have them sell you a replacement cone. In this case, I only need one because that's because the side that's pitted is the non-drive side. The drive side is fine. Okay, and so you don't need to buy a whole set, but make sure you get replacement bearings too, because in this case the bearings were cracked and pitted as well. And I think spending a lot of time outside in the rain and no service for several years of riding, even though it's not very many miles, it wore out the cones.
okay. There should be 9 1/2-inch or 9 1/4-inch bearings in here. Well, I can see these bearings are in bad shape. They're rusted. All right, so
Yeah, I want to, this New Mexico thing.
so we'll replace
After I got home,
those ball bearings straight away.
New Mexico, and I'm really curious about that. Yeah,
3,
I'm curious to see what
6,
the
9. Okay, there's
Just like, you know, when
the full
that,
set here.
yeah, the woman will do
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But this is New Mexico there, but everyone may
So I'm not sure if you can see, but these bearings are pitted and rusted. And so if there's any damage, then just replace all of them. So let's look at the other side. And 3, 6, 9, I've got 9 here. These bearings are rusted also. Not as much because they're more protected, so we'll replace those. Okay. This is called the cone. Kind of like an ice cream cone. The other side is a cup. And this is pretty worn out too. It's pitted here, so that should get replaced also. You can buy individuals, or you can buy them as a kit, and it's either a solid axle or a hollow axle, and there are different sizes, and you cut them to length. So this is a hollow axle, and the cone on this side, on the drive side, is in good shape. Okay. To service the free hub, use a 10mm wrench. Stick it all the way inside and unscrew it. I'll go off camera with this. And that's comes out as a single unit. This you can soak in oil, and that'll get it nice and lubed. There. Remove this is a loose fitting tire, so it's easy, but you can see all the dirt falling out of this. And you can see that the rim tape is broken. All right, so we'll replace that. And I'll clean this up. All right, so I have this rim, the hub cleaned up and cleaned out the rim. This is a cheap rim. This is a single wall rim. And so I thought Specialized would put a better rim on this than they did. All right, so let's put on some Schreiber rim tape. Peel off the backing. I like to start where the hole is for the inner tube and just work around that. All right. So pull it tight. Try to get it centered up. No wrinkles. There was a lot of debris, old leaves, compost, sticks and twigs in this, so I think I'll need to do the same with the front wheel too. Okay, overlap the rim tape for several inches, and then trim it away square. Okay, here's a hole. So I have a hot soldering iron here, and from the inside I'll punch a hole so I can indicate it, and then melt it all the way around so that the valve stem can get through easily. Okay? Okay, so to install the free hub again, here's a spacing washer, thrust washer, and I have the free hub soaking in some SAE weight 30 weight motor oil, and we'll let it drain out for a little bit, and then when it's drained out, then I'll install it. Alright, I'll assemble the hub now. And so what I have is some grease. I've got a bottle of 1/4 inch ball bearings, and you'll need 9 per side in this case. We'll see if this is enough. The cup for the drive side bearings is in the free hub, and so you need the grease in the cup so that it'll hold the ball bearings in place. It acts as glue. Okay, and then on the non-drive side, it's on this side of the hub. And so I cleaned this out as best as I could. There's still rust on the inside of the cup from rain in the past years. Okay, so I'll just put that in. Let me take out this washer here, and then I'll carefully put 9 ball bearings in here. Without using grease, it's very difficult because the bearings will start falling out. So that's 6. 3 more. Okay, and that's 9, and then you can get a finger full of grease and then pack the whole area. Okay, just leave this up here like that, and all right. Put my finger in here. Put in the bearing. And get my 10mm wrench. Screw this down. All right. All right, there you go. And then we'll count and install 9 bearings on this side. Okay, so that's 3. And that's 6 here. And this is 9. All right. Use my finger to push all the bearings out to the outer edge, and then I'll slather in some grease and work it around. Just make sure that everything's out. Okay, this is the dry. Alright, so I had to take a break and buy a replacement cone. So my local bike shop had the Shimano wheels manufacturing compatible product. This is 15mm total thickness, and this is 15mm. So these parts will work fine. I just use all the same spacers. Okay. Alright, so I checked the front wheel, took off the tire, and as suspected, it was full of foreign object debris and the rim tape was broken. So I'll replace the rim tape on the front wheel as well and clean up the inside of the tire and reinstall that. Okay, so with the Specialized Rockhopper, this is the base model. There is the Sport and the Ultra, and so this one has some more entry-level type parts on it, but it's still a good quality bike and good enough to go cycle camping with. And of course, this is the main reason why I'm making these videos, to help you to acquire a bike or to fix your existing bike, getting it outfitted so that you can go cycle camping. And hopefully in some of these future videos, now that the weather's starting to warm up, I can take some of these bikes out, or some of my touring bikes, and we can talk about, you know, what I'm carrying, what I'm using to make cycle camping doable, without having to spend a lot of money. Okay, so in the meantime, keep on biking. So let me give you a quick update. Right now, I'm using this bike, carrying 24 liters of soft drinks. All right, and so that would be 24 kilograms also, plus a small amount of extra weight for the panniers and the racks. So whatever liveliness the bike had unloaded, you can be assured when you're touring, it's a very dead weight. And so, you know, whatever, when you're test riding a bike unloaded, you know, there might be springiness or twitchiness. You can be assured when the bike is fully loaded, all of that is gone. All right, and so what you're feeling is, you know, the tire pressure and your gears, whatever gear inches you're in, as well as, you know, the comfort of the saddle, or your cycling shorts, and the position of your handlebars and your grips, right? So in this case, you know, this bike feels like a touring bike, and the best way to work the bugs out of a bike is just to load it up and take it out, and see what it's like. And a good way to try that is to take it out and go grocery shopping. All right, so for now, I'll see you later.